Yeah, so we go through this whole process of like trying to synchronize our audio. And the thing is, I don't know if people can tell the difference between our edits, like the episodes I do versus the ones you do, but I spend so much time just separating the parts where we talk over each other.
Yeah, I don't do that.
I definitely do that.
It's authentic. It's authentic episode, Ben.
I debated, putting a content warning in for the last one. I really, really went back and forth on it. I've mentioned before my mother listens to this podcast. I'm really hoping she hears where that one's going and turns it off before it gets to the bad part. She really she really enjoyed our interview with John Bierce. Thought he was a nice man. And then we
followed it up with this.
I want to make sure my parents are never too proud of me.
Well, mission accomplished.
I've lived my life by that rule, and so far, so good.
Yeah, you're probably like, hey, I started a podcast, and also I picked Nate to be my co-host.
And we're talking about erotica, and that's 3 strikes and you're out, son. Sorry.
Yeah.
No longer in the will. But
that's unfortunate, but that's cool. That's fine.
No, I in all honesty, I debated putting a content warning in. I didn't think we needed one. And then as it went on, it got a little raunchier and a little raunchier. And I don't see that stopping anytime soon. So this is what we're doing. It's not going to be one of our more popular episodes. I don't think anybody wants this. I don't want it.
Words about books. We deliver for that one fan who listened to Marked and then listened to Claimed and was like, God, they need to finish the series. And here we are.
Yep, this is for you perverts. Where did we leave off? I'm Ben, he's Nate. I assume you know.
Last time, a bunch of stuff happened, and then we got off track a lot, and we talked about some good hard dicking, and now...
Chaos! Did more video game cuts than I've ever done. It's just the magic of hanging out with you and John.
Now, last time Moros killed killed Nemesis. The name that I could easily say, right? Killed Nemesis and rescued Ashlyn from her captivity. They also rescued Trevor. He'll do some stuff, I guess, whatever. And now they be Ben, that's where we're starting. They be
I forgot about this.
They have a good toss in the hay.
Kind of the opposite of what happened with Deck and Galena. Where Deck and Galena, they were like, oh no, I don't want, like, you've experienced this trauma, I'm not gonna jump right into the sexy times.
And meanwhile, they have a kind of a fight, Ben. Like a sex fight. Like, whoever finishes first is the loser. You loser.
They do have a sex fight. I forgot about that.
They're both... do! I'm not making this up, Ben. This is all real.
Okay, so... I guess we should talk about it, huh? I guess we
can.
Well, there's certain things. So okay.
Slick between her.
No, that's not what I was gonna say. Nope, that's not what I was gonna say. That's not what I was gonna say.
Good luck editing this one, asshole.
I'm trying to think how I even broached the topic of
post-coital enlightenment.
God, no, I wasn't even that far yet. I'm still at the foreplay. Because they're both trying to, like, take control, right? They're both trying to be the dom.
Yeah.
And it's just 2 doms. So how are we going to do this? And Ashlyn is...
She's the bigger dom.
In this one, yeah, she wins.
Doms the Lord of Death or whatever.
Yeah, but Morris has a thought, and I guess I just got to say it, and then...
Is it that he wanted her to submit to him completely?
No, I can't believe you're not thinking of the thing I'm thinking of. It was...
let's see.
He thinks to himself that only Ashlyn could take control of him with his.
Nice.
And I remember
Use the proper nomenclature, Ben. It's
I wasn't in a restaurant when I heard that one.
Somehow she still had the advantage.
Thank you. That's
It's a game of chess, Ben, just like Ryland.
I don't think Ryland was playing either of the two styles of chess. But yeah, so that happened. I remember distinctly where I was when that phrase was uttered in my ear.
Where were you when the clock struck 9/11?
I was walking. It was dark. I was walking.
We're back to Ben. Ben's walking. All right, you got that, everyone?
I need you to. Are you like jealous? Do you think this is some big flex I'm pulling?
Yes.
Oh, look at him walking with his legs.
I was just out walking, getting my heart rate up to 100,
Trying futilely to burn off some of the calories he consumed today.
My watch said I got rid of 200, so
my watch said out of battery. So anyway, I'm walking, right? It's dark. No one can see me. I'm alone. I'm walking actually behind
I don't like where this is going, Ben.
my favorite pizza place. Okay? And I wasn't there. I wasn't there to get pizza. Okay? I was just happened to be where I was in the neighborhood. And I distinctly remember hearing with his. And I remember thinking, I don't know if I can eat here again. And to this day, I drive past that place and I was like, that's where I was when Moros was getting.
You were braver than I was, Ben. I read this. I didn't have to hear it.
I think that's the wiser choice. I think your own inner monologue just naturally softens, and I am sorry about this pun, the blow.
Softens the blow.
God, I hope my mom's not listening. I can't wait to see the drop off on this episode. If this one does the same numbers, I don't know what. I'm disappointed in my audience. Yeah, but that was another instance of I don't know if that's hot to women. Is it?
I have heard that some women do find it attractive.
I'm not talking about the act. I'm talking about this description of him being dominated by
no.
because this book is for women. I think we can agree.
What?
I don't think it's
what?
I don't think it's intended for two heterosexual guys to discuss. I think we are the exact wrong demographic for this portion of the book specifically, because that. I was just so embarrassed, and I didn't know for whom. Was it Ashlyn? Was it Morris? Was it Sarah Fine?
Dying.
Was it myself?
I
don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
Everybody,
God.
I feel like everybody lost that day. But Ashlyn's really good at that. So keep that in your mind.
Just keep it in there. Just burn it in. Trevor brings Deck over while Ashlyn is there.
She's recovering. She falls into the deep sleep of the fairies.
Yeah, she's recovering. She just has to throw on one of Moros' shirts real quick, and that's all she's wearing, I think. And I only remembered this because I highlighted where, Deck and Trevor are really awkward when they figure this out, and it's a great scene, Ben.
I don't know why everybody's so surprised.
Because they're the only two competent people in this entire universe. So the fact that the two of them managed to drift into each other's orbits and hook up is astounding.
No, because there's another Achilles heel of this book, and that is Ashlyn's constant reminiscence of how even as a child she looked at the fully grown Moros with love in her eyes.
Yeah, maybe leave that out. Maybe don't make me think of the fact that she's known Moros since she was a little girl.
Yeah,
it's
no,
fucking weird.
He was best friends with her dad, not better.
No, not at all.
Some might argue worse.
Most people would argue worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, not good, book. Do better. Shit, what do they even do next? Let's see. Oh yeah, they go back to the board of directors for another meeting, and Ashlyn gets her scope back and humiliates Hugh, and everyone has a good laugh at his expense, and they turn on him really fast.
Yeah.
It said Moros wanted to laugh. These fairies were quick to turn on each other, and my note was, I laughed. I thought that was funny as hell.
Yeah, it's like they know they're extras. I thought maybe that was because of the sudden absence of Nemesis from their building, that they were maybe under some sort of like mind spell.
What, were they all Nemesis?
Well, but Eris didn't have to have sex with anyone to make them want to kill Galena,
though, right? Right? Don't say you wouldn't, Ben.
I think I'm going with the same argument I went with in the last episode, and that is that she may be remarkably attractive, but if as soon as you make skin to skin contact with her, you're just going to be overwhelmed with hatred and rage.
And how are you going to get some sort of release, huh? You catch me? You catch my drift?
It seems more like people who touch her would want to kill her.
Yeah, with their Ben. You know that summit we've been talking about for 2 books now? That is tomorrow at midnight. And we need a plan to defeat Moros's 2 siblings and no one other than those 2 siblings, right? Just those 2, no one else. So Ashlyn is like, oh, well, shit, we didn't get the Blade of Life back. You know that ancient weapon that can defeat chaos and harm Moros? It's the most powerful thing ever. But what if we had another one? Or an entire arsenal of them? What if the Blade of Life is just really common and not important at all? What if Ben?
What if the Blade of Life is any butter knife that happens to fall in a particular lake?
Yeah. What if that, Ben?
Well, that's when Moros and Ashlyn go on a sexy Bill and Ted adventure through the cosmos.
Yeah, I didn't expect this.
No, I didn't either.
What with this just existing for this book?
Yeah, this is where it's again, this part served the story well, but not the larger narrative of the Servants of Fate trilogy.
So we're going to go to the Life Spring, Ben. It's apparently water made of life. It's where new souls come into this world, Ben. It's in another dimension. Wakanda is what I was thinking of.
Really?
They open a portal that's just in the middle of a desert or something, and there's Wakanda, right?
Okay.
Except instead of vibranium, it's life juice.
Okay. I could see that, I guess. I didn't picture it that way, but
I did. Wakanda Forever. I didn't see either of those movies. So.
That may be why we didn't picture it the same way. Okay.
When they get there, Moros is immediately greeted with someone who wants to do a little stabby with him. And
do you remember her name? I don't remember either of their names.
Magda?
Okay, that sounds right.
Oh, and Zaid is the guy who wants to give Ashlyn a hard dicking. wants to
regret.
give her a hot beef injection, if you know what I mean.
Considering how this episode started, I don't
Your
even know.
sweat smells like syrup, he says, in what I can only assume is a pickup line.
Yeah, that's another one where I'm like,
is
Sarah,
is that attractive?
is it? Yeah, I don't. Is that hot? Like,
I'll have to ask my wife later.
that's right up there with flesh for me. Like, oh, your flesh is weeping.
Oh God, that makes me think of a weeping swelling, weeping edema.
Yeah, it does, and I bet it smells like honey.
It smells like rot.
Yeah.
Usually. It's
Yeah, well, BO's not too great either. I don't care how hot she is.
but her sweat smells like syrup. You want to just pour a little bit of that on your pancakes.
You're doing the thing I told you to never do.
I know. Oh God.
Like my stomach seizes every time somebody does that. I hate it.
This has been a fun episode, Ben. So yeah, they're in this other realm, and they like to be like mostly naked or all naked and a lot because
Life.
Yeah.
They're all about life. And what is more life-giving than sexual intercourse? Which I guess is true.
Yeah, I guess. And that's when we learn that the mother, who is the leader of these people, she got gotted.
She was massacred by Shade Kier on the way over here.
So it turns out that these people, the Lucinae?
The Lucinae.
Lucinae. They don't need to be marked because they're not part of fate. And they are described as mortal as fairies without scopes. You know, like humans.
And they hate death irrationally. Like, they seem to be fully sentient, thinking beings in every regard except any ability to connect death to life as part of a cycle.
Yeah, they really hate Moros.
Yeah, they just think Moros kills things because... And Moros doesn't kill anything. He gets his orders directly from somebody else. And he also doesn't do the killing. And he was empowered to do that by somebody else. And... but they hate Moros because he just chooses to participate in the death end of things. But they don't hate the fairies, even though the fairies are also
participate
on the death end.
Well, that's because the fairies give them money.
Yeah.
What do they need money for?
Yeah, I was going to ask. They don't have...
They have a magic dimension all to themselves.
Yeah, nobody's opening a pizza and taco shop in their neck of the woods.
Yeah, she says, Kavan, that's the other guy. That's the fairy ambassador here. Because we gotta have one of those. Whatever. Who gives a shit about these idiots? I hated all these guys, okay? She was like... Cavan has convinced my sister it would be bad for the servants of fate if deliveries were halted completely, though not that I give one heaping pile of camel dung for any of you. It's like, sorry for existing, Magda?
Look, Magda, I don't know the last time you've been outside, but like overpopulation's a real big problem. If people don't die, like I don't know where you think they're gonna go.
We have like 3 cities, okay? We can't keep burying people. Also, what's also?
So Cavan, you know the only thing I was thinking about the whole time? So this is supposed to be some like... I still pictured all of these people as being very white. But
they're not supposed to be?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they're Greek. Whatever. What even is
Are they
race?
Greek?
I don't know. Everything's supposed to be Greek, but some of them are Irish. They just get whiter. And that's kind of where I'm going with this, right? Because like these are like a bunch of weird, sexy, sunny barely clothed people, and right smack in the middle of them is like one Boston Irish guy. And as a ginger myself, the only thing I'm thinking is they're having all of these like garden parties by the lake is like, man, I hope you brought sunscreen, dude, because like that is like, there is a reason we don't dress like that. There is a reason if I go on a lake, I need to do sunscreen like every 3 hours. I'm not joking. It's not
I know.
funny.
My wife does that.
I have gotten second-degree sunburns.
How?
I have no melanin.
Maybe you need to get some, Ben.
I would volunteer. No, you know what my body does in response to like sunburn?
It burns faster. It secretes Crisco.
I grow more hair.
Oh my god, that's horrifying.
I know. I'm trying to bring everybody back down from all this sexy talk.
You're a creature of death and you don't know a thing about life.
I know you need SPF 48 or it's worthless.
She'd always assumed that the water was sacred. Well, since it's not, throw a few swords in there and call it a day, is what my comment was. Because everyone's just jumping in the water, playing in the water. Like, you're getting all your disgusting, mostly naked junk all over my soul, okay?
So this is another bit of the lore that like came out of nowhere and was not developed at all. I understand that they have positioned Moros as being on the opposite end of life, but like, why does the water of life kill Moros? He is actually alive.
Yeah, but also, what if... Shut up, Ben. What if that? Huh? Did you think of that? I don't think you thought of that.
Moros isn't a lich guarding his phylactery. He's
how awesome would that be if he were, right? Like,
he's alive. He's here because he's
sexy,
afraid of
erotic
being
tales
killed.
of a lich? Dude, that would take boning to a whole new level. No?
Look, I'm walking on eggshells with you because I don't know what is going to be the next thing to set you off into another erotica. I think me and the patrons, at least some of us, are allied in the cause of like trying to make that never happen again.
Does it seem like Magda is eager for a fight, she whispered? My comment was, you're asking him about subtext when you should just be examining the text. She plainly told you that she could murder you, and you discussed her. Magda was not a subtle person.
Unrelated, Ryland taught me how to play chess.
You could have mentioned you're the actual Lord of the Curie a little earlier, Magda said peevishly. And my note said, you made it seem like you knew that.
Yeah.
I thought you were aware.
What's the difference if he's just a Kier or the Lord of the Kier? I mean, presumably, like, y'all report to somebody, right? He's there as a representative of the Kier. So, I don't know. Like, the point is, Magda, she's a little hot. She's a little hot-tempered. But ultimately, she's got a good heart, you know?
So we're going to crown, in the middle of the world possibly unraveling in the next 24 hours, we got to crown a new mother. And the way we do that is we have a giant feast, and then the new mother just goes to town on someone all night long.
And can we talk about how we maybe should not call this monarch the mother?
No. No, let's not talk about that.
More of a mommy, if you know what I'm saying.
She has pearled nipples?
What?
She does.
What?
She has pearled nipples.
What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know, Ben.
Is that what the book says? I don't remember this at all.
Yes! Her pearled nipples were easily visible.
What does that mean?
I don't know, Ben.
You're a doctor.
Here, let me...
No, don't Google it, you fool.
Oh, I'm guessing it means, I don't want to say, Ben. Anyway, Shade Cure attack.
Thank God.
There's a weird love triangle, but it's resolved and no one cares. Shade Cure, please save us.
The only thing I'll say about the love triangle, the only thing I liked about it, and kind of didn't like about it,
okay,
is
it's Kavan and Magda and the new mother who is
the ginger who's struggling with sunburn and the angry lady. They are in love.
You don't have to say the ginger who's struggling with sunburn. That's all of them.
The mother wants to get with him to basically spite her sister because she can't stand the fact that a guy would look at her sister before he looked at her. And they have to come up with a plan to get around that. And like Moros is actually connecting to this couple's fate. Like when previously Moros wouldn't have cared one iota about this guy and his little romance, Moros now is like rooting for a couple because he himself has found love. And on one hand, I think that's sweet. I think that showed Moros evolving as a person and threw in a fun little love story in the midst of all this like lore dumping that we're finding out for some reason. But on the other hand, it's like, well, you know, Moros, you have been alive for a few thousand years now. Like, this is what it took for you to develop empathy. But, you know,
yes.
better late than never, I guess.
Dude, I don't think you realize just how hot Ashlyn is, okay? I don't think you understand that she can grow empathy within you while she dominates you in the bedroom.
Yeah. I'm not touching it. I remember that whole scene. That there were a lot of positions where you didn't think she'd be dominating from, but somehow...
But she was.
Yeah.
She was.
Like, oof.
Oh, God.
So Shade Kiratak, they're specifically going after the new mother who is in her sex hut.
Yes! Her private sex hut that's surrounded by people.
And so Boros and Ashlyn rush everybody into the lake because the Kier can't, or the Shade Kier can't go into the lake because they're undead.
And none of these people seem to have superpowers.
No, but they do have any blade that has ever touched this water, which is everywhere, is a blade of life and capable of doing everything that the original one did, meaning this is like you thought you had a collectible and then all of a sudden they announced that they're doing...
mass-produced it.
Yeah.
So when Moros talked to his mom and was like, where's the blade of life? She could have just been like, oh, you can just go make a ton of them. Like...
Well, and you know,
get a gun, get some bullets, dip the bullets in there, get yourself a gun of life. You want a nuclear weapon of life? I'm sure there are nukes just laying around.
A really good idea.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good idea. They have guns.
Yes. They have advanced guns, Ben.
And they've also demonstrated that these people can't, like, they're no more immortal than anyone else. So, like, if you brought a gun here, you're kind of the king.
The father, if you will.
Yeah, they don't have any...
You can all call me daddy.
Yeah, it's like they've all got...
Tell me my sweat smells like syrup, guys.
But seriously, do it or I'll kill you. Yeah, so anyway, the Lucinae all get into the lake, and Moros is standing on the beach just fighting wave after wave of Shade Kier. I was going to say Shadow Kier, but they're Shade Kier. Kier no Jutsu. And he's defending the sex hut with his very life.
And Moros is losing power here, by the way. We should mention that. He's been sick the whole time. Yeah.
He's weakened by this realm of life.
By life. But
he's alive. He's not undead. So that's...
Yes, but his job is death, even though it is not. But Ben, as we established, there is no... Is it Thanatos?
Yeah, there's no Thanatos.
Yeah, he doesn't exist in this realm. He doesn't exist in this world, this universe. Thanatos, no bueno. So it's got to be Moros. They're gonna They're picking him up, Ben. They're picking him up like he's crowd surfing, and they're gonna chuck him into the river/lake of life, and Ashlyn saves the day. Pew pew pew.
She
I
comes
can't remember
in.
exactly what she does. She just
She has a couple of the blades of life. I think she comes in with the ginger and the angry lady, and they all have got blades of life. And she like took a
start
stake.
giving people life back.
Yeah.
Again, Shade Cure. They don't have they're dead, but they're like double dead. So I guess
we can't go back to that.
I loved it so much though, Ben.
Yeah, that was the longest Taco Bell commercial we've ever done. But Ashlyn did think outside the bun, and she got all these blades, and so they're dicing, slicing, and then they go, and at the end of all this, they saved the mother, and all these Lucinae watched Moros risk his life to save the mother, and then
That
at the
piece
end,
of shit, Moros.
And then at the end, Moros asks very humbly if he could please, in exchange for his efforts, have a gift of one blade of life, please. She has thousands of them. She could go just make thousands more. And this is where things get a little problematic for me as a loreman. She says no, because she's like...
You may be gone now.
Yeah, she's like the literal worst for no reason. I don't know why they made her so annoying. I guess for the plot to happen, it's very manipulative, but this is like a real quick thing. Like this is a mini story that just, the plot got really heavy really fast with Ashlyn's whole like torture and subsequent.
So we needed to come down from that.
Yeah, this is kind of like a bit of levity in the middle of the book, which was needed. It's good tonal work. But yeah, so for no apparent reason, she should have just given her the blade of life. I don't know why. But anyway, she doesn't.
Because we the audience have to be like, oh no, how are they going to win now that they don't have the blade of life? And later on, Ashlyn has a plan, but we the audience, we don't hear plan.
Here's me. I'm Ashlyn. She's like, no, I'm not going to do this. I walk over to the banquet table. I pick up a steak knife. I walk over to the lake. I drop it in the lake. I pick it up. I go, Moros, teleport me out of here. Blade of life, double middle finger, bye. Now I've got the steak knife of life, and we're going to go kill Chaos and embarrass him at the same time.
You mentioned the towel of life, where he...
Yeah, just snap him with a towel of life.
Yeah, he snaps him in the ass with the towel, and Chaos disintegrates.
The rock of life. I just threw a rock in the river of life, and then I threw it at Chaos, and now he's dead. David and Goliath all over again.
She waves her hand at them and says, you may go. And they're like, okay, but like if we die, Chaos gonna fuck us up. And she's like, will it? Because maybe Chaos won't destroy us somehow. Maybe he'll only destroy us if we have to pick sides. Why do I have to pick sides? And it's like, You're not picking sides. You've been forced onto a side. I think when the Shade Cure came and started murdering your people, you're firmly on a side now. Like, you know how Belgium was invaded in World War I, Ben?
Yeah.
It wasn't just neutral while it was being invaded. It wasn't neutral while it was fighting the Germans. It was firmly on the Allied side after that point. That's what happened.
So
anyway, what are you saying?
I mentioned this when we talked about Marked, in that I have a problem with a particular trope in books, and that is the trope of the impossible asshole.
Oh, yeah, I completely forgot about guy whose name I don't remember. Glenn or something? I don't
think it was Glenn. It was something stupid. But he was a guy who absolutely nobody would have tolerated. Like, he was committing crimes. He was committing actual assaults.
The only thing that happened is he was transferred out.
Yeah. It just served to be a conflict for the characters, but it didn't make sense in the world. Like, our world, their world, would not allow a person like this to exist. And that's kind of the same thing that's going on here. Because here's what I'm going to say if I'm Moros. And they did this with Hugh. And I liked this with Hugh because they set it up like we're doing the impossible asshole again. Here comes Hugh. And then Moros is like, you know what? I'm going to take you to the middle of nowhere and beat the shit out of you until you tell me where Ashlyn is. So here we go. He's like, well, you can't do that. I'm the Karen. And it's like, well, I'm doing it. Watch. Oh, my fist is going into your face.
Len. His name was Len.
Len. Yeah, fuck Len. So, in this one...
I did like that. I did like what they did.
Yeah.
With, Moros
So,
just like, okay, we're done here.
So in this one, I'm just like, I'm Moros or Ashlyn, because as established, these people are weak and they're cowards.
And Moros and Ashlyn are fucking Chad. Both Chads. They're both Chad and Stacy combined, each of them.
Yeah, they did the fusion dance. And
yeah,
now there's some sort of power couple. And it's like, Ashlyn just sword fought 5 Kier at once. Moros destroyed an army of them. And it's like, yeah, he's weak right now, but here's what's going to happen, mother. I'm going to teleport away for like 10 minutes. I'm going to get all my strength back. And I'm going to come back here. And I'm going to rip your head off and shove it up your ass.
Duke Nukem style.
Yeah. Or you can give me a sword. Because, like, here's the thing. Neutral. Not an option. If they don't kill you, I'll kill you. That was a little frustrating. Again, you know, I didn't really care a ton because I kind of had a feeling where this was going to go. Like, I knew they were going to... Ashlyn's wheels are turning. She obviously has some plan, and she handles things with more finesse than my plan to ass shove. But I don't know. I would have liked to see that.
Yeah, again, you don't even need Moros, right? You just, you bring back a few people with guns. What are you gonna do? Throw a spear at me? I will unload 100 rounds per minute on your people.
Let's hire that, whoever shot, Eli.
Yeah,
you know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna order you a nice Chinese
She got to go to heaven.
dinner. Yeah, but Eli was gonna go to hell for murdering rapists, and it's like,
yeah,
we talked about that in Marked. It's like, no, you're not.
So Ben, do you think that one of Moros' sisters might be helping his other sister and brother? The thought had occurred, but now he knows it's gotta be Atropos. Except, like we said last time, she was the only one who is not conspiring against Moros, because duh. If you didn't see that one coming, you haven't been paying attention. Duh.
I don't want to say I didn't see it coming, but I wasn't thinking about it at all. Because I didn't care.
Who cares?
Like, I still don't fully understand, and I said this last time, I kind of wish we had like 2 or 3 books to develop all this lore.
Like if this were a 3-book series, for example, you could spend time with these characters and figure out why we should care.
Well, because the problem is, like, I don't get why Moros is on the hook for all this. Like, I still don't really get why
to leave and go hang out and like
no
makes me upset.
No, I don't even mean that. I don't know why Moros is on the hook if the Tapestry of Fate collapses. Because, like, in the previous books, the whole setup was you're going to meet with the Keepers of Fate, and the Keepers of Fate have the ability to kill you, and if they think you're not doing your job, then they're going to kill you. But at this point, if the Tapestry of Fate is in tatters, you meet with the Keepers of the Afterlife, and you're just like, hey guys, it's not my fault. The Tapestry of Fate is in tatters. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? It's not my job to weave the Tapestry of Fate. And they go look at that, and they're going to be
sisters.
like, yeah, they're going to be like, oh yeah, these guys screwed up.
Yeah, my job is she cuts a thread from the tapestry, I get the tingle in my jingle, and I send one of my Kier to go mark someone, and then they die. That's my job.
Well, and so, spoiler alert, that's exactly what happens. That's not quite the logic they present, but they meet the Keepers of the Afterlife, and they basically tell them everything that's happened, and the Keepers of the Afterlife come to the conclusion that, yeah, that's not Morris's fault.
I mean, it takes a lot longer to get there, Ben.
It does, because they don't like him.
You're skipping over chapter after chapter of exposition and discussion. Yeah, the Keeper of Hell doesn't really like Moros.
But the Keeper of Heaven likes him. So
yeah, and they be Ben.
They do. The Keeper of Heaven's a hot lady.
Everyone's hetero, Ben. I look. It doesn't. I'm a hetero. I'm super hetero, right?
So you keep telling me.
This isn't
in
something.
In our Discord
in our
chats,
private chats,
where you always have your shirt off. But
it's a hetero thing. You wouldn't understand, Ben.
Okay.
So, like, this doesn't bother me the way it might bother other people. But
like when you took all that alpha Chad and your nipples started to pearl.
Yeah, that is one of the things I thought of for pearl nipples. But that's the thing. Like, why is everyone hetero?
You know, I noticed it, and I agree with you. I agree with you that it is. I don't know why. I
like.
thought
I'm not
it
saying
was
you
weird.
have to make a main character not hetero. Like fine. You want to write hetero erotica. You do you. But like, you know, you can't even have like a like you can't even do the Disney treatment where two women kiss in the background for 2 seconds and it was cut from the Chinese release. Like, you can't even do that much.
Well, Sarah Fine was obviously focusing on the Asian market, but no, it's strange because there are some couples or some people that feel like they wouldn't be. Now, there is a gay character in the background, and that is Trevor.
Is he?
He is. I think they mentioned that in Marked. And then I don't think it ever comes up again.
Oh, okay. They mentioned it in the first book that we read 3 years ago. But my bad for forgetting that, Ben.
Yeah, we never see any of Trevor's relationships.
Ever. Yeah.
Post that, yeah. It is a little strange just because there are some characters that have chemistry that I don't know why I thought it was weird. I guess maybe just because I feel like in this day and age, I was going to say these books are a little older, but they're around the time that the YA romance stuff started embracing more diverse relationships. On one hand, gay people do exist in this world. She did mention it. She didn't pay a lot of attention to it, but she did mention it.
There is a gay guy. He's over there. He's never going to talk about his relationships, and you're never going to see it. And I won't mention it again in the next 2 books.
I don't think you should do it just to do it. Especially,
Fair.
like, I don't think the Disney treatment is better than just not having it at all. Now, I don't know how everybody feels about that.
But there are also points where they're intentionally pairing people up and making them hetero, like the Keepers of the Afterlife. And those are gods. Do they have to be male and female?
Well, I'll tell you what I thought was strange. Where
Do you think that they caused the Big Bang? See, get what I'm saying?
No, I don't. So, because everything came out of chaos because we're going with the Greek creation myth. No.
Well, what if they banged so hard inside of chaos and he exploded a universe?
All right. Yeah, I mean, possible. We'll investigate that.
What's more chaotic than life, right?
Okay, so here's what I was thinking. Okay. And I'm just going to steamroll you if you're interrupting.
Good. That's what this podcast is about, Ben.
Where I thought it was the most out of place for absolutely everyone and everything to be hetero was when the Lucini were about to have their big hedonistic orgy. Every woman has to find a man, and every man a woman.
Well, yeah. That's how you celebrate life. By having an orgy that is very strict in who you're with.
My point is, like, that was one where they were supposed to be, like, hedonistic, just embracing the joy of life, and everybody was pairing off heterosexually. So, like, on one hand, I don't want to knock her for not writing something that is totally outside of her experience. On the other hand, the Greek pantheon...
Yeah. Right?
Had a little bit more interplay than than say the Christian pantheon. So it is strange in this day and age to see something so heavily influenced by Greek mythology be so very straight.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing Seraphine is a straight woman, so probably writing what she knows. She doesn't know how to write non-heterosexual sex.
You left a pretty big pause there, Ben.
I don't think she's a bad writer.
I would agree with that.
We'll save that for final thoughts. I do have more I want to say about that, but let's finish up the summary.
All right, so Morris is like, Atropos, you betrayed me. And she was like, nuh-uh. And they get into a little slap fight, and he manages to disarm her of her sickle. And that's when Clotho and other person Lachesis show up, and they're like, thank you, Moros, for disarming her. And they stab Moros with the blade of life. And they kill Atropos with her own sickle. And they're like, yeah, we're all gonna die together when the fabric unravels. Fuck you, Moros. Ah, the pain. Oh, God, it hurts. Oh, I regret my decisions. Ah. And they all die. And they all show up in front of the keepers, who are like, oh, you're early. You know, it would be great if we had something called fate, so we would know when and where you would be at any given time. Whatever, you're early, and you failed, and I'm going to spend eternity cutting open your guts and curb stomping them or whatever, because I'm weird and I'm into that. Also, your sisters, they keep saying it's all your fault, but, like, we're God, right? We know that they're kind of to blame, so...
I don't think
they're
are God.
Gods. They're a step above them, for sure. And they're like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to torture them for eternity. I think that their plan was, like, dumb. Like, they planned to unravel fate and then not exist anymore, I guess. But, like, yeah, no, I've got them now, and I'm gonna cut them open in hell forever. It's going to be great.
But first, they rip their divinity out, turning them into God here.
No.
No, we're not doing that this time.
No. Too much.
Too much.
That is kind of that is very similar to how you create a Kier, but they're not Kier. It doesn't work like that. So
I was going to say, because I had a whole bit about Baskin Robbins 21 flavors of Kier.
So the bubblegum flavor no longer is at Baskin Robbins, and that really bums me out, because that was a pretty good flavor, Ben.
Bubblegum is disgusting. You're sitting here making fun of pineapple?
It was great,
You're eating
Ben.
bubblegum ice cream?
No, I'm drinking it as a shake, Ben. It's like drinking liquid bubblegum straight into my mouth, Ben. My sweat smells like bubblegum, Ben.
You know what? The idea of drinking a bubblegum milkshake is more disgusting to me than just licking Ashlyn's sweat.
And at the end, Ben, there's a bunch of chopped up, blended together bubblegum.
Oh my god, why would you want that?
You get to chew all the pieces, Ben.
Why would you want that? God, what kind of deviant orders a bubblegum milkshake? You're sitting at Baskin Robbins.
No one anymore, because Baskin Robbins got rid of the flavor, Ben.
No shit, because it wasn't selling, because it's disgusting. Cookies and cream was an option. And somebody chose bubblegum. They only had it on there for profiling purposes. You ordered that milkshake and you're on an FBI watch list.
Worth, Ben.
God.
Oh, God. Oh gosh.
You ever like learn something about a person that you just wish you could unlearn? Like, I don't know how we're gonna work together after this. Somebody on Twitter after the John Bierce thing was talking about how like, oh, you guys have different opinions on dragons, and that's how the podcast is gonna end. Well, I didn't know the milkshake conversation was coming.
Oh, God,
I'd slit a dragon's throat right now just to not have to drink that milkshake.
Oh God. Oh my God. Whew. Oh God.
Yes, so anyway, they stab Chaos with the blade of life, and that's the end of the book. Okay, let's finish the summary. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm already finished, Ben, if you know what I'm saying. Oh, God. All right. So, long story short, Aisling comes down, and she's like, hey, yo, take my soul instead of Moros. And Moros is like, no, you can't do that. And they go back and forth, and she's like, fuck you, I'm doing it. And so they take her soul and they shove it inside of Moros, and they restore him back to life, and
turning her into a Kier.
I think she just dies. Is what happens. But you're right; she should be a Kier. So the only way he can bring her back.
No, you know what? They don't give him her soul. They give him her life.
Ah, okay.
Her anima.
Get the fuck out of here. I bet it's made out of pink bubblegum.
But that's what it tastes like, because you're not supposed to eat it. You're basically a cannibal.
Worth. So they shove her life into his butthole, and they're like, you can give it back, but only if you win. I hope that's motivation for you. He's like, all right, I am going to go fight Chaos. I'm going to give a snappy one-liner. Chaos is coming in, and all my Kier are fighting all of the people, all of the Shade Kier. And Chaos is like, oh, you're going to fight me? And I'm like, bam! No, I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to kill you. Pew, 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 pew. And then he gets thrown through like 17 buildings. Chaos beats the shit out of him.
And then he charges up a Kamehameha, and Ashlyn's ghost is behind him. And they do the husband wife Kamehameha, but then Chaos fires his Kamehameha.
Whoa,
and we're not sure if it's going to be enough, and then Chaos's Kamehameha is kind of overpowering, but then Eli comes in with his last burst of energy and fires it.
What are you talking
at Chaos, and then
none of this happened.
And then Ashlyn is like, now, and Moros fires his Kamehameha.
No,
through
it's
Chaos.
Not at all like the Cell ending, Ben. Not even a little bit. Eris and the lesser evils that weren't cleaned up already show up, and they're gonna kill Moros.
The Cell
but
Juniors.
Then they get killed by the other lesser characters from the other books, who all have blades of life now, because they overthrew the mother with Ashlyn's plan. Yeah,
so everybody, all your favorites, Eli, Casey, and
Deck, not Galena, she's not here.
Deck.
Oh yeah, they blow up the ferry building. I forgot about that entirely. And that's
Psycho
where Ryland
Pops
is
Inc.
like, "Oh my god, they said that the ferries would be safe, but they lied to me, like liars who are the Lord of Liars. I can't believe the Lord of Liars would lie. Ah! I thought that they were bad people, but I didn't know they were this bad. Ah!" And now here they are being stabbed to death.
Yep. And then what happens?
And then they're like, we're gonna disappear so that you can be the hero. Moros, you're the hero we need, not the hero we deserve. But we will be there to get in your way, actually. So, Moros and Chaos, they're fighting, and he becomes Patrick Fairy stabbing Ashlyn in a weirdly sexual manner. It's really weird, okay? And unpleasant. And Moros just keeps stabbing him. And the people, Deck and Casey, are like, I can't believe you're killing my sister, you son of a bitch. And Morris is like, it's not her. And they're like, you son of a bitch, you're killing my sister, you son of a bitch. Ah! And so...
Then he throws her entrails at him.
Yeah, fuck them. These guys were idiots.
Yeah, they really were.
Yeah. And, fuck, what else happened? They stab him, they were idiots, he saves the day, Chaos is like, I'll eventually return and win, and Morris was like, yeah, but not today! Pshaw! He stabs him, and
and Chaos goes back to sleep.
Chaos goes back to sleep. He has a little nappy nap. He'll be back in a few thousand years. And they're like, how did you know that wasn't my sister? And he's like, she never calls me Moros. And also, I used my frontal lobe. You should look into it, guys. It's
also, I know for
obvious.
a fact I left your sister dead in a cave.
Meanwhile, she is dead in a cave, but she's like, did it work? And they're like, yeah, here, have some god power. And the keeper of heaven takes all three of the fates and just shoves them inside of Ashlyn. Just like only one of them fit, so she had to like make room and just kind of like wiggle in and like finagle them in there, and she got the other two fates right up in there. And she passes out from the trauma of having three gods shoved inside of her body.
Yep.
And Moros is like, I'm here to give my life for her, or her life back to her, whatever. And they're like, no need. She's good. You can take her. You can take her unconscious corpse of a body home with you. Bye.
She's a triple god now. And yeah, so Ashlyn goes into a 3-month coma, during which time she automates the entire process of weaving the web of fate, which was
that the fates are fucking idiots because they had 2,000 years to do it.
Yep, it was always an option. Ashlyn did it in 3 months,
and she was only one person. They had 3 people, and they couldn't figure that shit out.
Nope. Yeah, so yeah, that's and then Moros is happy that she's alive, and they live happily ever after. The end.
Yeah, and they hook up.
Repeatedly. Sometimes in the shower.
Sometimes. Sometimes in other people's showers. It's a Dom move, okay?
It's a Dom move.
You come home, your bed has clearly been slept in, and you just know, oh god, my sister and the Lord of Death, they be in my bed while I was away. Dom move. Every day I dominate. I don't know where I'm going with this. Ben, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Okay. Main final thought is...
Oh, I'm dying. That's my final thought. I laughed so hard and... Oh.
My main final thought is that I find some of the erotic elements awkward and funny, and I don't think that is what I am supposed to think. I think sometimes she can't really decide on the tone of the language she wants to use to describe the sex acts, and that leads to a lot of weird inconsistencies. Is it because it's a little bit
embarrassing, and maybe you use a pseudonym like some of us Chads?
Yeah. It's more that I think you either need to commit. Again, this is the black arts of literature that the forbidden knowledge I did not want to learn. But I think you either need to commit to the pornography or you need to shy away from the pornography. And what happens here sometimes is both. Some parts are just very pornographic and other parts are more delicately handled with euphemisms.
Delicately, like the lady's undercarriage. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't actually.
Some delicate little pink curtains.
Okay, that's enough of that. And yeah, I find some of the language choices strange and funny, and I don't think that's the reaction I was supposed to have. I've been saying that since Marked. I think the sex stuff in this one was a little worse than the sex stuff in Claimed, but a little better than the sex stuff in Marked.
Ooh.
I think the relationship in Claimed is more easy to describe. It's more traditional. It's more uncomplicated. Despite all the trauma that surrounded it, their actual intercourse was fairly straightforward. There were still some awkward bits, like deck solo in the shower, but yeah. Overall, I find it interesting. I haven't read anything quite like this. I don't know how common it is to combine so much overt eroticism with such a
rich and detailed world.
such a standard urban fantasy. Like, this could be the Dresden Files, except it just goes ham on the pornography.
Ashlyn, her head lolled against his neck. She was as limp as a rag doll. Note says, "Oh God, his dick killed her."
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with that side of it. I found the urban fantasy elements over-engineered for the erotic elements.
That's one way of saying it, yes.
And on the flip side of that, I find the urban fantasy interesting enough, and from reviews I've read from other people, I think that's a pretty common reaction. That
is this urban fantasy now? I don't know what urban fantasy entails, but we're
basically urban fantasy is anything that uses fantasy magic elements in a modern or futuristic setting. Magic in our modern world. And though this takes place in the future, I would still count it.
Does it count if it's like not in our world because we spend a lot of time outside of the world?
I think, well, now we're genre policing a little bit, but I think...
Yeah, that's what we do on Words About Books. We tell you what stuff is.
I feel like urban fantasy fits this story better than any other.
Okay. All right. You better be right, Ben, because in 3 days, you and Seraphine have to go to the keepers of the genre and plead your case before the judges of the genre.
Does Seraphine not think it's urban fantasy? I think she and I are in agreement on this.
Well, you're right. I'll have to go there in your stead.
But the other thing I was going to say is her writing is really imaginative. There's a lot of stuff going on here that could have sustained a much longer series, or could have been the entire focus of a series and leave the erotic elements as just more safe for work romantic elements. I think that would certainly be an option. I think this is just, it combines pornography with a stock standard urban fantasy setup in a way that is clashing.
When you should have gone for sci-fi. Sorry.
Some people think that. Yeah. But yeah, I think Seraphine has quite the imagination. I think she spins up worlds so fast that it is one aspect of her writing that I'm kind of jealous of. And I don't understand her lack of connection to the world she creates. Like
it's because she goes through them so quickly, Ben. You gotta finish this world and get to the next one. Come on.
Yeah, she came up with all this lore and all these people and this cast of characters, and she just moves on to the next thing. And in a way, I respect that.
Let's be done with it. I'm tired of this world. Now we're gonna do Norse mythology.
Well, the thing was, she does something with like Pandora's box eventually. But yeah,
Is Pandora's box a euphemism?
no, and I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I bet you did.
No, but I think she did sort of leave me wanting more. Like, I felt like there was a lot more you could do. There's more stories you could tell in this universe, and I didn't feel like I got much of my happily ever after. Like, I feel like there's room for an
What are
epilogue
you
to this
talking
whole
about,
series.
Ben? They beat Chaos. Ashlyn woke up, and he was like, "Hey, you want to run my businesses as a partner with me?"
Yeah, but we
Also, I
don't.
hate your sister. She won't shut up.
But we don't know what that looks like. We don't know
Yeah.
how Deck and
We're in a
Galena's
brand new
marriage ever
world.
works
We're
out.
rebuilding the fairy building. We're cleaning up after the second biggest catastrophe to ever befall this world.
We don't
There's
know.
apparently a war between the Canadian and Arctic provinces that started in the first book that we never heard from again.
Yeah, that should be hilarious. But I
They're going to politely tell each other to either go away or rejoin the Canadian Union, and whoever has the most amount of politely typed letters within 2 years will be declared the winner of that war.
no, I there's a lot you could do. There's still more to tell with these characters. I feel like I wish I knew what God Ashlyn was like. I wish I knew how Deck and Galena's marriage turns out. I wish I knew how Galena's cure turns out. There's a lot unresolved with the state of the world because this sort of starts with Galena's going to fix the world, and it sort of ends with who? Galena what? So she kind of lost the story for the sake of the couples, and that's a more broad point about this book and this series is this was my favorite book. I like Moros and Ashlyn as a couple more than I like any of the other couples, but this was not a satisfying conclusion to the Servants of Fate series if you cared at all about the story of Servants of Fate, which makes me think that this was not about the story, this was not about the world, this was about the pornography.
Well, yeah, it's erotica, Ben.
But it's
Erotica
not.
first, urban fantasy second.
But that's the problem, though. It's not.
Why not?
It's not an erotica first because there's only really like 3 erotic scenes per book. As much as we talk about it, it's not a huge amount of the page time. It stops the story dead, and certainly it's all you think about for a long time. It's very hard to go back to thinking about these ridiculous Greek mythology caricatures after a detailed pornographic scene just happened. But
Well, how else was she supposed to regain her sanity, Ben? Huh?
I mean,
That's
we already have a demonstration of that with Deck and Galena, how you could take things more slowly.
No. They're not the slow kind of people, Ben.
I don't
They are
mind that.
fast and hard, and they live in the fast and hard lane.
I don't mind that, but there's a challenge here of then if each book is going to be a different couple, you're doing that so that you can essentially tell the same story 3 times with minor variation.
Yeah. That's called a trilogy, Ben.
Because the minor variation is the lady. These are each 3 different kinds of lady.
Yeah.
But the guy in each
Stupid,
is
traumatized, and dominant.
yeah.
Boom.
The guy in each of these is kind of the same guy.
Don't you fucking disparage Moros like that, Ben.
They're all kind of
He's got more agency than Eli, and he's not as bland white bread as Deck. Okay?
but they're
Don't
all
lump Moros in with these losers. These beta males.
they're all generically handsome. They're all muscular.
Yeah.
They're
yeah.
all good at fighting.
Yeah.
They all have a PhD in
wouldn't
paying
wanna
attention to your needs.
That.
Obviously, it's an attractive
This is clearly
man.
for the men and in the audience to aspire to, right?
No, I mean, obviously it's an attractive man, but they're not substantially different men. Like, they don't have different problems. They're all on about the same page when it comes to being
Incorrect. One of
sensitive
them
to
is
their
Eli.
woman's needs. But Eli still wants to take it slow. He wants to take care of her. He wants to make sure she's okay with everything. You know, and I'm not saying these are bad qualities to have, and I think every relationship should have that. I'm not doing a good job of conveying my point, but I think that's the problem. Is the only difference is their level of stupidity. Like, they're not substantially different people. They don't have substantially different interests or likes or anything. It's
They have
just
different hopes and dreams.
like what?
They want to bone a different person.
Everybody winds up rich. Everybody winds up
That's not true.
supernatural and immortal.
Wait, no, that is entirely true.
My conclusion then is that she really just wanted to tell a story of like the sexiest time in a relationship. And I think the time in a relationship where you have the most sex is that like honeymoon phase where everything's brand new and you're just getting to know each other and everything's super exciting. And she's not interested in the cooling off period where you learn to live as a couple and you bond more deeply. She wants to get the passion. And to do that, she has to do a new couple each time. But there is interesting stuff happening in the background, like...
Oh, I thought you were going to say there is something beyond the honeymoon phase. I was going to say, absolutely not, Ben. No way.
You have
not
a child.
This isn't about me, Ben. No one wants to read about that.
True.
As soon as they said, Casey and Eli, you're going to have a bright green-eyed child. Guess what? Eli died, became a demon man, and that never happened.
Yeah,
who would want to read that?
There's nothing sexy about that.
Yeah, I don't want you to have sex with her and then cause her to get pregnant, and then you spend 9 months with various pregnancy problems followed by birth, and then you have to deal with the child. No, get back to the dickin'.
Mm-hmm. So that's the alternative, though, is like, I think it is kind of just about the sex. And I said this from Marked. I said this from Marked. It feels experimental. It feels like somebody who hasn't quite figured out how to tell this kind of story.
Well, I said it in Claimed. The second story felt like it did not go anywhere. It did not bridge the first book, which is supposed to be the setup, and the third book, which is supposed to be the conclusion. It introduced Eris, and that's about it. No villain was vanquished. No important characters were eliminated. There was really nothing happened in that second book.
This is kind of
except for Galena was saved, and she was made immortal so that the Tapestry of Fate would be destroyed. And look what happened there, Ben. It didn't matter, and we never saw her more than like twice in this book.
This is kind of the fish that isn't very good at walking on land of erotica. Like, it's a transitory step to a much better thing. If it's erotica, which I think it is. I think it's meant to be like a thrill.
Oh, yeah.
If it's that, it needs to be more of that.
Yeah. I want them to use Moros' dick as a weapon against those Shadekir. Because if its flesh touches them, right? Like, what if he just did death upon them, right? That's all I'm saying.
There is that sort of stuff. There is pure erotica that just exists to be pornography. I'm blowing past you. What, you seriously want me to talk about using Moros' dick as a weapon?
Why not, Ben?
Like, you're disappointed I didn't engage on that with you?
No, I knew you wouldn't. I keep throwing stuff at you to see what sticks.
I don't think there's anything wrong with erotica or anything that's just purely
no one was saying
pornographic.
That, Ben.
No, I know, but I'm about to say, though I don't think there's anything wrong with it, I wouldn't read it on this podcast. Like, that's not the kind of story, like, there's not usually much of a story there, you know? And this one is trying to be both of those things, and I don't think it serves the plot particularly well to have all this erotic stuff in it, and I don't think it serves the erotic stuff in it particularly well to have all of this plot in it.
That's why you have to stick to a short story, right?
I
Like
think this,
a 40
yeah.
page erotic thriller, right?
Oh,
Where can
I see
someone
what you're
get
doing.
something like that, Ben, for $1 on Amazon?
I bet they could get it on Amazon. Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, it's a writer that we interviewed for the show called Chad Dingleton.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a great guy. I personally vouch for him.
But I feel like even he might have put in a little bit more plot than was needed. I felt like maybe he had this whole world he had been trying to build for a long time, but nobody wanted to read it. And so, like,
It was
he,
also he had a friend who was going to do the audiobook, and he was like, I can make him say some shit.
yeah, we need to schedule those sessions.
Yeah, we do.
But yeah, so those are my general thoughts. Do you have any serious final thoughts that don't involve Morris's penis?
Okay. First of all, that is a serious thought. All right. I don't like that you imply that Morris's penis can't be up there with a serious final thought. But yeah, no, like I said, the second book didn't serve these two books, and the lore of the first book was kind of thrown out. We keep joking, like, wouldn't it be great if this were a trilogy instead of just one book? And there's the joke, guys. There's my final thought. It would have been great if these three came together more. And I wonder, I don't know. I'm not interested in reading more for the podcast, but maybe something more outside of the podcast. I don't know if I even want to do that. I'm really curious just to figure out if Sarah Fine put it all together and improved and managed to get some sort of adult trilogy off the ground in a way that was more cohesive than this. Because individually, they're not horrible books, but together as a series, they just don't quite fit together.
Well, and I want to add on to that.
It's baking a cake, but you forgot the egg. That's the binding agent. What are you doing? Anyway,
okay.
what's that?
That was a really strong feeling about cake baking. I was going to say that I looked up Sarah Fine just to see where she was nowadays. From what I can tell, I think Sarah Fine has about 30 books published. More than that, I think, actually. Which I don't think she's that old. So assuming she did not start publishing when she was 10 years old, I feel like that is way more than one book a year. And that is a lot of output. And I know there are authors that write very quickly, but I feel like Sarah Fine might tend to write a story, finish the draft, do a quick edit of the draft, and I don't think she's very concerned with the kind of beta reader feedback that would cause one to like really go back and like reorganize.
Yeah, because they're betas.
Yeah, because they're betas.
You don't listen to betas, all right?
Yep. That explains why you never took any of my feedback.
I added some things in there.
You did. You actually
fucking beta.
Did take my beta feedback, so you did listen to a beta. So
yeah, that's why I'm not a famous author like Sarah Fine.
Truth.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is I feel like she's quicker to publish than I would be, certainly, as, nowhere near 30 published books under my name. But yeah, this could have been something way better if it had had more time in the editing oven, which is something we say a lot on Words About Books. But I think with Sarah Fine,
never in quite that way.
I think with Sarah Fine, she's got enough talent that she can get away with it. But I personally would prefer a book that was more polished. But I get why her audience likes it. This is the kind of thing where if you if you like it, if you want to read like a book on an airplane or something, if you read a lot of books and you're hungry for content, I think they're good enough. So it's a B plus, but it could have been an A. Well, this book is a B plus. Servants of Fate as a whole is a solid C.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I would not score it that high. The first book was not great. The second one was okay, but again does not serve the overall narrative. And this book, pretty good. Actually, kind of a shame it's connected to the previous two books, because, again, if this were the first book, you know, at least with these characters and everything, and you had 2 more books to build this up, it'd be great.
Yeah, I agree. There's really something here, and I think it's a shame she did not choose to polish it, but it is her choice. Yeah. So those are my final thoughts. I think we've got your final thoughts. Anything else?
No. Let's whip it out and see who's bigger with our go home credit thing that you can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have 2 Patreon shoutouts as always. We have Brad, aka Isekai Sensei Sama, who you can find over at animepodcasterreincarnation.com. We also have Jamie of the If You Want the Gravy blog, where he reviews everything, literally everything, all the time. He's a machine.
We drank all the Mountain Dews of the rainbow.
Dude, you should check out that blog post he did where he and Nate reviewed all of the Mountain Dew.
And mixed them all together and drank
That
them
was
all.
disgusting. But yes, if you want, you can check us out on Twitter at WABpod. Check us out on Instagram at Words About Books Podcast. You can read our blog at blog.wordsaboutbooks.ninja. I believe there are some rare Nate posts coming up.
Oh, yeah, there are. I need to find my password and I can put them all up there.
We did decide to make a Discord. I'm not super sure how I'm going to distribute the link to that.
But everyone should join it so that we don't have the embarrassment of having an empty Discord.
Yeah, I don't really want to fail on this, guys. So if you could join my Discord, that'd be great.
We're talking about you unsighted, and Elton reads a book, and guy who you record with, whose name I am blanking on, and this is embarrassing.
Nuzzlehouse?
There you go, yeah.
There you go.
That guy, Nuzzlehouse.
Sandman Stories podcast even referenced our arm wrestling challenge.
You know what's funny? I remembered Sandman. I remembered that, but I didn't remember Nuzzlehouse.
Wow, what an insult to Glenn.
Yeah.
He's not going to join now.
No, he has to join to prove me wrong.
I suppose.
I threw down the gauntlet. It's all part of my plan.
Yeah, so I guess I'll put the link on Twitter.
I don't know how people do this, Ben. You're the expert.
Yeah, I know how the patrons can do it. Patrons go on Patreon. There's a post about it, but general public, we'll see. If you want a link, and I don't have a link up by the time you hear this, reach out, or you can email me at wordsaboutbookspod@gmail.com, and I'll give you a link. But nobody listened this far, so later.
All right, bye. Polishing.
I'm a little upset that she did not choose to polish this knob.
Thank you.
Yes.
And dominate it. And